Hi guys, so welcome back to today's video. So today's topic will be about 10 financial bad habits that you tend to overlook and you will regret in the future. So most people naturally overlook these habits and subconsciously fall into these financial traps. So the very first bad habit that I'll be going over will be most people will tend to spend first and save later. So what it means is that most people will spend the money once they receive their paycheck or they receive their income, and only when it reaches the end of the month, then they look at how much they have left before they think about, oh, I need to invest, I need to save. So if you do that, that's essentially the slowest way of saving, because you will never be able to save as much as you plan or how much as you want to. People tend to overspend and forget about the fact that, oh, I have this financial planning or financial budgeting that I set in place. So in order to be able to rectify and target this problem, the best thing to do is always invest and save first before spending. So if you do that, the more compounding interest you can build when you're younger, and the faster that the money can go for you. So the second bad habit that people tend to overlook is spending paycheck to paycheck and still refusing to budget. So I understand that a lot of Malaysians, especially the younger generations, tend to spend their money along the way as they go throughout the month, and only towards the end of the month they realize that, oh, I don't really have much savings left, or even in fact I don't even have much money left for me to spend on the necessities or essentials in my, let's say, the last week of the month. So there is a huge logic that you must understand. If you don't learn budgeting, no matter how much you earn, you will never be able to reach financial independence or be able to reach the financial goals, because you will never have saved up enough to be able to reach that. So whatever you plan in life, there has to be a plan to get there. There has to be a blueprint to get there, and essentially budgeting is your financial blueprint to achieving financial independence and retiring early. So you can always refer back to my budgeting video where I talk about how to best budget and allocate your income into different segments so that it will help you achieve your financial goals easier. So the third bad habit will be only interested in looking at profits and rewards, but mislooking or overlooking risk. So high risk, high reward is a very common concept that everyone talks about, but you have to realize that that's not always the case. Sometimes you can have high risk but still end up with a low reward, and similarly, you can experience a much lower risk but still having a high return. So the most important thing is instead having a right investment strategy where you could get a high return compared to a much lower risk. So for example, on surface, when you look at buying a lottery ticket, maybe you only spend a couple of ringgit for it, whereas the jackpot, maybe you could win a couple of million ringgit. So in comparison, it might seem like the risk is a lot lower compared to the amazing return that you could get. But if you look realistically at the probability that you would be able to win this jackpot is extremely low, and it just does not make sense. So you cannot just look on the surface area whereby the risk tallies with the reward or looks a lot better, and then you choose to go and invest into whatever vehicle that you think is better. So instead, you should always be patient, have a good mentality, and have good financial management, and at the end of the day, not be affected by the ups and downs of your investment vehicle, and look at it from a long-term horizon. The fourth bad habit that people tend to overlook would be having the money to invest but not paying off debts. So having debts is essentially a huge problem by itself. So it could be due to poor financial planning on your own, or it could be due to different financial obligations that you did not have a choice from your family, let's say, or from your relatives or whatsoever. So nonetheless, it's not a right idea to use that amount of money you have to invest and not pay off debts, especially high interest debts. So yes, it might seem like using this money to invest and generate higher returns makes more sense as compared to paying debt, because you can even earn much more money than you have, and eventually you'll still be able to pay off the debt. But let's not forget that there's no 100% return on any single investment. There's always risk associated with it. So let's say you desperately need this amount of money to pay off the debt, and let's say the market fails, the market crash, or anything happens to your investments, then that's when you really go into the lack of cash flow to be able to pay off this debt, because all your money is trapped in the investment. So not only that, mentally you will be very stressed down by the fact that, oh, I still have this debt that I have to pay by next month or by the end of the year. So you already have enough stress from your daily life, be it from your career, from your peers or whatsoever. So why would you want to instead have more investment stress and financial stress placed on you because of such debts that you have yet to clear off? So the fifth bad habit that I'll be going about will be shopping without a grocery list. So impulsive spending is one of the most common traps that people are unable to avoid, being myself included. But in order to be able to prevent that, we can always put down a grocery list, jot down the things that you have planned to buy before leaving your house. So that way you'll be able to control and monitor your spending by just buying off what you have already planned out on the grocery list and not just take anything off the shelf just because it's on discount or it looks cheaper. So it's the same concept for a buffet where people will naturally take too much of food and either they will be unable to finish and waste it, or they'll end up eating too much and being too full. So the groceries list ensures that your money gets spent on the things that you need the most, and also things that provide you with the most value. So that way you get your money's worth without blowing off your spending. So the sixth habit that I'll be going over is not managing and plotting down your cash flows. So why is it always the case that when people earn more, sometimes they tend to end up saving even lesser? So that happens because you don't jot down your spending and you don't take note of how much you actually spend in a single month or a single year. So it's human nature to tend to overspend and buy things you like. It's extremely difficult to control our spending impulses. So when you start earning more, you have to be even more careful with your spending in order to be able to make sure that you are still saving much more than when you were earning lesser. So by the time you realize a mistake, a few years will have probably went by and it will have severely hindered your path to financial freedom due to the amount of time wasted. So that's why always write down your expenses. For me, I personally write down every single expenses I spend on throughout the day, be it something as small as traveling, parking fee. I will write down all the things that goes from food and drinks to entertainment, and make sure that I truly know how much I spend on in a week, in a month, and in a year. So that way you will be able to analyze your spending at the end of the day and see how much have you actually spent on each different category, each different month. And through that, you will then realize that there's actually a lot of things that you spend unnecessarily on. And through that reflection based on your cash flow analysis, you will be able to be more sensitive to financial planning, and you will be able to better control yourself in the future from spending impulsively. So the seventh mistake will be constantly telling yourself this thing, that it's okay, I can always earn back this money in the future. Yes, it's true that money can be earned again in the future and it's never the end of the world. But let's say it's a necessary expenses like medical bills, then yes, of course, go ahead and spend this amount of money as it's necessary. But don't enforce this mindset onto every single unnecessary spending you have, because that way you will subconsciously spend too much. And let's not forget that how much time have you actually sacrificed and put in order to be able to earn back this income. So do you think it's as simple as just earning back this income in the future? Also, don't forget that everyone only has 24 hours in a day. So how much time do you actually have to make money, and how much do you actually have time to recover all these things that you have spent on? So the eighth financial habit will be not using your time to plan and grow your income and wealth, but rather complaining about how life is unfair. I do understand that, of course, life can be tough sometimes, but you cannot focus on the bad things in life and overlook the fact that you could be doing something to change that. So of course, I don't deny that if someone is born in a wealthier family, they start off from a much better financial status, and of course it's more likely that their life will be happier and they have more freedom to do things they like. But we can't change that. So what we can change is we can change our own future by putting in the hard work and effort to really do things to improve our financial being and achieve whatever goals that we have in our life. So the ninth financial habit that one should change would be living so frugally and trying to save every single penny, but not knowing how to wisely invest or spend the amount that you have saved up. So the first 8 points have been largely focused on saving and teaching you how to maximize your savings. But that can result in opposite effect, whereby people only know how to save but not know how to invest or spend their money. So the money saved should not be lying in a bank account and just sits there and wait for inflation to catch up. Instead, you have to make the money work for you, as money should never be resting, and that way the money will be able to grow and not lose out to inflation. Similarly, spending certain amount and certain times is definitely a good habit to cultivate as well, because you do want to reward yourself when necessary and not put so much stress on yourself that you completely don't get to enjoy life as well. So these things you spend on to reward yourself will provide you with more motivation to continue working hard and achieve your long-term financial goals. So don't get so tied down that you completely don't spend your money on everything, But the important concept that I'm trying to bring across is to spend within your means, spend within your budget. So if you have allocated a certain budget for that, it's okay to spend it. It's okay to go on a nice dinner with your partner. It's okay to go for a good holiday with your friends. So the 10th financial habit that I'll be going through is only looking at short-term habits, short-term profits, and thinking that it will translate into a long-term profit. So in the stock market or any other forms of investments, there's bound to be a small percentage of people that will be earning an exceptionally high return in a short period of time. So they could be earning, let's say, 50 to even 60% rate of return in their year. And yes, there would be these elites or top of the crop people that get to earn these, generate these great returns due to their fantastic strategies. But the problem is not everyone can achieve that. So you have to be realistic and understand that even in fact for these elites, they might not be able to consistently generate such a high rate of return over a few years. So this might just be a one-off thing. So you cannot look at their one-off extremely high rate of return and aspire that this will be my long-term return for in the next 20 years. So don't think that things are as simple as that, and don't think that you're the next investment master or the next Warren Buffett, because life is not going to be that simple. So instead, focus on the fundamentals, which is being consistent and being disciplined with how much you're spending and how you're investing your money. With that being said, we have come to the end of the video. So please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and also leave a comment down below for any topics that you would like for me to go through in the future. Thank you, and see you all in the next video. Bye bye.